Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Doms, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Nice to go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and it is a beautiful day here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. I am your host, Gareth McAllister, bringing you the action with Team Goon Squad in 1080p and 60 FPS, provided my Aussie internet can handle it. G'day, everyone. It is great to see you all out here tuning into the broadcast and seeing the drivers make their way around the track here tonight. We are in for a crazy looking race. It looks indeed. We've got a full 43 car grid, and it is absolutely going to be a great one to watch. I have no doubts about that, as we see Alterna making his way around the old configuration of Atlanta Motor Speedway back in 2008. And we should have some good action for you in the Kimball Cup Series, presented by the Old Bastards Racing League. So it is very nice, once again, to see everyone tuning in to the most steeply banked 1.5-mile track in America. And it is another good point to note that we have cars and drivers that are complaining about just how loose they are and how the tires feel like they are burning up like crazy. So we'll see how that works into tonight's race, as we're about halfway through qualifying at this point. See there an example of what we were talking about with Wanamaker. Excuse me, that Alterna. Get Wanamaker's name on the timing screen. As Turner was struggling. We've seen a lot of, in practice, a lot of cars coming down off of back end of turn number 2 and really struggle. See, Wanamaker's just made his way around turn number 2 and into turn 3. 74 machine. He's looking to improve on his current 17th position. Unfortunately, doesn't look like was able to improve on that time. So he's going to stick it out in 17th for now. See if this particular lap can get anything more going, but I'm not sure that's going to be... No, he's trying to practice pit road. Probably not a bad idea either. As you can see, just the banking difference. So we've got 28 degrees of banking in the corners and 5 degrees on the straightaways. So there is a whole lot of banking here as we go around at 185, or nearest makes no difference, maybe even a little bit faster than that, miles per hour around this 1.5 miles here in Atlanta. We've got 140 laps in store for you tonight. And interesting point of note, this track is actually quite old indeed. Opened in 1960. So 63 years ago, this track was being built. And it's come a long way since then, that's for sure. Actually, just while I've got you for the next 2 minutes, and we see Tom Ogle just putting the fastest time on the board at the moment with a lap time of 31.25. In practice, he was hitting speeds very, very similar to what he's been doing in qualifying, if not a tiny bit slower. So Ogle has figured out something, and we've seen him on top of the board once again, as we're so used to seeing these days. And as I was saying, with now a minute and a half, as we watch with Wayne Hufford going around the track, the minute and a half left in qualifying, I can tell you something very interesting I found out just recently. So former US President Jimmy Carter worked as a ticket taker at Atlanta Motor Speedway way back in the day. And he also attended races here once he became president. So that is pretty cool. And yeah, I don't think you can get a much better statistic of a NASCAR track than that one. Dustin Martinson saying his cat woke him up this morning by jumping on his stomach after surgery. Oh, I feel for you on that one. That's got to be painful. Yeah, that. So currently watching Dwayne MacArthur go around the track, currently sitting in the 9th position, trying to improve on that. Looks like he's practicing pit entry as well. You can see just the steepness of the banking. Just really goes to show. And Josh Robinson on the pole, just absolutely blitzing around the track with a 31.19 right at the very end. Absolutely astonishing, unbelievable stuff. As we get ready to grid up here tonight, we are going to start on pole with Josh Robinson in the first row with Kevin Strandberg alongside Tom Ogle. Found himself in the 3rd position. Lloyd Moore in 4th. They're going to be on your 2nd row. Dan Hill and Joey Buscemi are going to be on your 3rd row. Cameron Chaussee and Joe Brown are going to be on your 4th row. Brian Lynch, Wayne MacArthur are going to be your 5th row. Wayne Hufford and Clay Walker are going to be in your 6th row. Cycle on back just a little bit. The 13th position, Jonathan Green with Kenneth Schultz alongside in the 7th row. 8th row has Greg McDaniel and Dave Nestor. There we go. That's a better grid photo than what I had going on. Michael Watts and Eddie Jones are going to be in the 9th row. The 10th row was going to have Courtney Nelson and James Waldo. Where is Waldo? There he is in 20th. Ryan Lindsay and Dean Gear are going to be in your 11th row. 12th row, Lee Warsdale and Alan Wanamaker. Al Turner and Troy... Let's cycle that. There we go. Al Turner and Troy Baker are going to be started in that next row there in 24th, in 25th and 26th. Yes, I believe. I think I've lost myself, but that's okay, because Troy Baker's in 26th, Chris Bates 27th, Robert Gurisco is in 28th, 29th is going to be Clint Reist, and Kermit Gentry is going to be in your 15th row. Brian McRubbin and Michael Dow are going to be in your 16th row. Victor Lane and Rick Nitz are going to be in 33rd and 34th. Eric Essery and Bruce Pearson are going to be 35th and 36th. You can see just how giant this grid is. John Hastings in 37th, Mark Schrader in 38th, Patrick Martindale and Michael Lemenchek in 39th and 40th. Dan Hill and Joe Brown are going to be in 41st and 42nd in the 21st row. And Bob Fallenbaum is going to be starting very lately last. I have on my screen here, obviously, I can see that on your screen you're seeing him as 41st. And Lemenchek all the way down there, so not sure why that's happened. I believe that some drivers are actually starting from the pit lane, and that may have caused that slight bit of issue there, but that is okay as we get ready to roll for tonight's big show. Again, 43 vehicles. It's absolutely insane, and it is so hard to keep track of everything going on. There's Dustin Martin coming in there saying that dad jokes are always appreciated. That is great news because I am full of them and probably gonna really annoy some people with them every now and then, but that's okay. It's what we love to do. Well, gotta chuck in a bit of cringe into each broadcast. Really ups the entertainment value as we get underway. Josh Robinson and Kevin Strandberg are going to be side by side as they get off to a nice start. Robinson with a good lead. Kevin Strandberg coming in, going to file down alongside. Back here we have Tom Ogle and Lloyd Moore. Lloyd Moore is going to be side by side with Ogle at the moment. Ogle just cuts the nose off, so Lloyd Moore's going to be tucking in into the 4th position. Cameron Chaussee and Dwayne MacArthur going very close to side by side. Cameron's going to come down. Yes, takes the spot away as we get ready to get filed in. Everyone doing a great job of keeping in tow with one another. No one getting too loose this early on as Clay Walker is going to be on that outside lane. First battle. Well, I say the first battle. We almost had a battle for the lead. Strandberg thought about it, decided against it. May have heard his run just a little bit up front. As we can see Chaussee and MacArthur going side by side a little bit further up as well. We continue to watch this battle with Walker, Lynch, McDaniel and Hufford. All of these drivers going very, very close together. This is exactly what we were anticipating and exactly what we wanted to see. We're only 3 laps in, but we're going to see a whole lot more. Don't you worry about that. As Clay Walker and Brian Lynch continue to be side by side. MacArthur is trying to make moves on Lloyd Moore. Not quite able to do so. Gets a bit better run throughout 3 and 4 on that inside line there. I've heard from the drivers in the practice that apparently both lanes are up for grabs. None is really faster than the other. So there is plenty of positions to run around here. As you can see, the gear wrench machine, I believe that's going to be Joe Brown. And then we've got a little bit of an issue. That's going to be Brian Lynch, I believe, went down a little bit further back, though. We had, who was that? I believe that was the KFC machine I saw. Oh, so many red and white cars. That's Dean Gear. There he is. He had a bit of an issue, falling all the way back. And yeah, he's fallen all the way back to 32nd. So that big bobble there in the back shot as iRacing is struggling, or SDK I should say, our timing software is struggling to keep up with just how many cars are on the grid at the moment. But that is okay as the entertainment value continues to skyrocket. As you can just see how huge this grid is at the moment. Cars all over the place. As it looks like Michael Watts and Courtney Nelson are having a little bit of a battle there. And we've got another one going off track a little bit further back. That was behind Alterna. Still going back. I'm not sure exactly who that was. I missed that one as well. That may have been Wallenbaum, maybe. I'm not sure. It's definitely a white machine. As we we scroll further back, everyone's struggling out of turn 2. These cars are considered to be weapon loose, named by our own Dwayne MacArthur, currently running in 2nd position. Weapon loose is the name of the game at the moment. Keep that car underneath you and point it in the right direction. As they continue, you can just see how close they are together, fanning out 2 wide. About 6 rows deep, it looks like. Michael Watson, Lloyd Moore looking to be the instigators of that double wide. And then you've got Courtney Nelson, Clay Walker, Greg McDaniel, Eddie Jones, Kenneth Schultz, all right there. Got from 8th place all the way around about, I think Brian Lindsay is going to be involved in that as well, almost in 16th position. So we've got basically 8 cars under a blanket side by side. I mean, that's incredible to see that. As you've still got Courtney Nelson trying the high side there against Joey Buscemi. Getting a little bit loose. I saw a little bit of a bobble there from Nelson. So Nelson's going to have a little bit of a hurt run coming out of turn 4. Into turn 1 now, and Buscemi looks to have the better entry of the two. Nelson has that high line run though. Not able to do it as Buscemi cuts down, or cuts up I should say, in front of Courtney Nelson. Battle further back here as Brian Lindsay tries to get around Al Turner's, excuse me, behind. Tries to get around Dave Nestor. And we've got a whole lot to talk about here tonight. As Atlanta Motor Speedway definitely showing us that we will not take a break up here in the booth. Leah Wardsdale looks like is surrounded by a gaggle of cars at the moment. As he's got Garisco, Clint Rice. Oh, Clint almost gotten to the side of Wardsdale. That was very, very close indeed. Thankfully, not getting involved in anything, but that was about as close as you can get without having any sort of issues. So, thankfully, that was not something worse than it... Well, thankfully, it was not as bad as it could have been. As Clay Walker is going around the high side, still working that high side line. Clay's been doing that the entire race so far. And seeming to do a pretty good job of it as he's working his way to try and get into the top 10 around the outside of Lloyd Moore. Moore with a little bit of a bobble, Buscemi as well. Looks like they all kept it going in a straight line though, so great job from every driver. As the closest battle on track at the moment is definitely going to be Buscemi and Nelson as they go side by side for this 8th position here. Dustin Martinson saying that there are 9,000 cars on the track and it's hard to keep track. You know it. It's difficult, but we're trying to manage as best we can as Clay Walker and Lloyd Moore continue to be side by side. Appreciate everyone joining in. We've seen Rick N coming in the chat. Good old James East joining us as well. What the Fish? Scott Shire coming in. Jeremy Mayo. Got a whole bunch of people coming out supporting the league and potentially the broadcaster as well as the drivers on track for sure. So great to see that support as well behind the league as Walker and Moore continue this battle. They just cannot get enough of each other, but Walker has definitely closed that gap and is working that high side to absolute perfection as Walker continues to try and make his way around the outside there. So we have one 3-digit number out here in the field at the moment, and that is going to be Mike Lynch sitting back here in the 31st position for the moment. He's doing a pretty great job as he is currently up 6 positions from where he started. Working his way through the field, and he's going to learn a lot from these drivers up in front. Triple number drivers, I believe rookies coming into this series here at the Kimball Cup Series and trying to feel it out, as we also had some other big news coming into tonight, which was Patrick Martindale currently sitting in the 40th position, having a little bit of a struggle at the moment, but Martindale has just recently been promoted from having his triple number on that machine, that Napa-sponsored car, is now a double-digit number. So congrats to him for proving his worth and coming back onto the track with all of these guys, doing a great job indeed of making his way into the double spot. As we have, I was going to say, it said Chaussee was up in front, but there's just so many cars, I can't render them all. So MacArthur's still up front, but Ogle has decided to start the challenge, and we get a little bit loud here in the broadcast booth because we are getting very excited indeed as Ogle starts to challenge MacArthur. These two, with Robinson and Strandberg just behind, with Hufford not too far either. These 5 drivers, all in the top 5, have been showing astounding pace every single week that I have had the pleasure of watching these drivers go to work and do their thing. And it's been amazing to watch. So we'll continue to watch this one on the timing screen for you as we see if Ogle has any answer for MacArthur's current lead. But a little bit further back, we've got McDaniel and Walker, and they are going to be side by side for the moment. As Walker's now trying the low side. Interesting strategy from him there. As Walker does make that pass happen. So Walker underneath Chaussee as well. As Chaussee goes very high, a little bit loose, I think, with the rears. And we've got a caution. Oh, we have a caution. Mike Lemoncheck, we believe, may have had something to do with that one. As that's not what we were looking for. Come on. Work with me. Alright. See if we can load in Victor Lane, who has been supposedly has had an off track, and unfortunately it doesn't look like iRacing wants to show us what the incident was. That is about as frustrating as I can think, as I know you want to see it and I know I want to see it, but it seems like nothing is going to work for me. Well, I apologize up here in the booth as there are so many cars on track that iRacing is struggling itself to keep up. But, and for all those wondering, I do have it on absolute max settings for showing as many drivers as possible. But iRacing sometimes, you know, you can set it to having as many as you want. And every so often, iRacing decides, you know what, I've had enough. And it doesn't want to try itself with some more showing, some more rendering. So I guess that's the unfortunate situation of what we've been dealt, and all I can do is apologize, really. Jeremy Mayo saying that the only trouble in the pits are the burritos served up in the hall of pre-race, and and I tell ya, that is pretty good. Well, hopefully we can get you a better tasting burrito. I know a guy. I'll get one sent your way, Jeremy. As we get ready to go Well, basically at the moment we're still pacing, but I think next time by we'll have the lights on the pace car go off, and Barney will get ready to wave his right arm. He must have so much muscle in that right arm right now. After how many years he's been on that flagpole stand, just waving his arm, getting that flag ready for the green every time, under caution, for the finish, white flag, blue flags. Yeah, I've always wondered. I've always wondered how big Barney's arms are. Doesn't need to go to the gym, does he? He just keeps waving that flag. Oh, he's just holding the yellow flag. Barney! If you saw it there, Barney's just holding that white flag. Trying to get another picture of it. Wasn't even doing his job properly. Unbelievable. Supposed to be waving that thing. As the pace car has the lights going off. So we're going to get ready to go to green once more. We have Dwayne MacArthur, Josh Robinson, Tom Ogle, Wayne Hufford, Michael Watts, and Lloyd Moore are going to be in your first 3 rows here tonight. So we are getting ready to unleash some horsepower. And it's gonna get loud. This car is going to make that hard left turn onto pit road. There we go. Probably the nicer of all the entries on pit road that I've ever seen the pace car do as Dwayne MacArthur gets ready to take the green, and there he does. As Josh Robinson on the high side got a very nice jump as well. Ogle with the best launch though, definitely, as he is able to get around Robinson before they even make their way into turn 1. Robinson makes his way around the outside of it. Looked like Watts might have had a go there, as we've got a battle for the lead as Ogle is going to make that move on MacArthur heading into 3. I just missed it on the live timing, but I was very close indeed as Ogle made that move. I don't think MacArthur wanted to fight for it, and I should have mentioned already by this point, which I have forgotten to do so, we have a roundabout 60 laps of fuel. Now with the caution, they may extend that a little bit to probably around 65 or so, but it'll be very, very close indeed to whether we can get more or less, I should say, than a 2-stop race at this point, depending on how many cautions do come out during our 140 lap stint here tonight at Road Atlanta. Michael Watts and Eddie Jones going side by side with Lloyd Moore just in front. Michael Watts is going to get the benefit of the doubt on that one as Moore checks up Jones on the inside line there, and Watts goes around both of them. Moore and Jones still side by side, potentially. Ooh, I thought we were hinting at 3 wide for a second there with Jones. Even further back down in 15th, we've got Al Turner going for a battle on Kenneth Schultz. Al Turner, one of those drivers I was watching intently in practice, I must admit, and he was very, very stable. One of those drivers that I was seeing during practice that didn't really push the car too hard and was just getting his laps done and dialed in, getting ready for the main event, and it seems to have worked out in his favor so far, up 10 spots from where he started down in the 25th position, currently up to 15th and working on 14th with Kenneth. Schultz just on the high side, as far high as you can go. Clint Rice, that was him, all the way up against the wall, trying to get some speed around the high side. Although it does look like it's cost him maybe a little bit, as Eric Essery has made that position for the 17th spot. Clay Walker once again side by side. This man just cannot get away from side by side action as he has made his way around Lloyd Moore now. Moore and Nelson side by side just behind. Jump on the gearbox of Clay Walker. And I was hoping to see some side by side action, but you can see Courtney Nelson very, very close indeed to the rear bumper of Clay Walker and looking very racy at the moment. That Chevy looking absolutely mean in the rear view. A fantastic look on that Chevrolet, I might add. You know, we can't get Camaros down here in good old Australia. We get the Camrys, we get the Ford Mustang. But General Motors kind of, I'm not going to go into the politics of it all, but General Motors kind of screwed us on that one. They came for about 3 months and then they left, and then they gave us a V8 supercar that we can't even buy, and I just said I'm not going to get into politics and started rambling on about it. I can't stop getting away from it because I'm a little bit butthurt, I'm not going to lie. But we continue as Courtney Nelson has made that position on Walker now. So we're getting asked about Victor Lane in the chat. Sorry, I didn't see that a little bit earlier. There he is. So he's back on track after having, I believe, an issue because that was involving him, that last caution with him and Michael Lemonchek. We didn't see it. Unfortunately, we were missing it thanks to certain issues, but he is back on track at the moment. His car looks fairly clean to me. So not sure what happened there, but back on track, back doing a great job, and he's back down in 35th, but going to be working his way back up towards the front, I'm sure, in very little time, as he is definitely a quick driver to watch. And we have a battle here going on with Robinson and Watts, a little bit further away than I thought they were going to be at this point. Just a little bit of a gap separating the two, but Watts was very much closing the gap to the rear quarter panel of Robinson when we panned over. And speaking of, Courtney Nelson continuing to make waves as Nelson goes side by side now with Michael Watts. Attempting to use that low side line. Not quite able to do so though, as Watts has a little bit of a better run entering 3 on that mid lane. So we did hear earlier on as we pan back to 21st position, that is Clint Rice. He's an old timer who has come back into the limelight now. I believe has been away from the series for a while, returning to the Kimball Cup Series. And it is great to see people, whether they're brand new, whether they're returning members, or whether they're members that stay here for the entire season. It is great to see them coming back week in and week out, doing what they love to do and what we love to see them do. As he finds himself on the low side now. We're so used to seeing him right against the wall, but on the low side against Chris Bates. As Bates is going to hold that spot there in the 20th position. And there's another car going way down low. Who is that? Is that Michael Doe? That is Michael Doe. Trying to think of a pun that would work with Michael Doe as in down, but or Doe the deer. Nothing really came to mind that would actually make any sense or be good at all. So he's going to stay in 30th, and we're going to leave his pun alone for the moment. We may come back to it in the future. We'll have to see. As it looks like Wayne Hufford has got his hands full with Josh Robinson, has made his way around Robinson into the 3rd position. But definitely not let go by a long way, as there's only a 10th separating these two drivers, and Robinson closing. No, backing out just a little bit there. As Hufford continues to lead the way around for Josh Robinson. In third place, but not too far ahead, are Ogle and MacArthur. And Ogle looking to make a move maybe for that lead, decides against it. Staying on that middle lane seems to be the go, and we've got another caution come out. And it looks like Lee Warsdell has been involved. Let's see if we can actually get this one this time. Yes, we can. Oh, just a little bit loose out of turn 4. Tries to check it up right in front of the triple number. No. And Mike Lynch gets sent into the outside wall. Oh, that's heartbreaking. The triple number gets sent into the 18 as well. Troy Baker involved. Oh, let's replay that one more time. There we go. So we're watching Troy Baker here. And you can see he just gets into the wall himself as well. Gets it down. The 99 is just so slow on that inside lane. The triple number driver just can't get away, Mike Lynch. And just all of a sudden, then the 18 gets absolutely rammed into by, I believe, was that Fellenbaum? Was that actually looked like a Strandberg machine. Back that up one more time. That was a Strandberg. So a wild Strandberg has appeared. And unfortunately got himself involved in that one. We'll jump on board the gyro cam and watch this one in real time. Yeah, just nothing you could really do there. It all happened so quickly. And you could argue that he could have turned down to the, excuse the flashing, as iRacing tries and struggles desperately to keep up with all the cars coming back into render. But, yeah, not much that Strandberg could do in that situation. As if, you know, as I was saying before, you could argue he could have turned left to go down to avoid. But if he would have made more of a mess, as there was a car underneath there as well. So, unfortunate, nowhere to go, and just gets a little bit involved in that one. That is all of racing incidents, and Barney holding up that yellow flag once again. Doing a great job, as Barney often does. So one more tidbit of information I have for you here tonight. Did you know that the opening scenes from Smokey and the Bandit #2, I'm probably saying that right, probably offended some people. Smokey and the Bandit 2, some of the opening scenes for that were actually filmed at the old Road Atlanta, at this version of Road Atlanta. So, yep, there's a bit of information for you. Actually, not this version, because Road Atlanta became a quad oval, which it is now in 1997. So, actually, the old layout, which was only slightly smaller, and I believe it was 1.5. It's now 1.54 miles. A couple of degrees more banking in the corners. Not a huge change, but the reason, speaking of change, the reason why we're going here in the 2008 version of Road Atlanta as opposed to the modern day is that they recently repaved the track. I say recently, a few years ago they repaved the track. It became a, how do we put this? A track that some drivers were not entirely happy with, and so the drivers of the Kimball Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League decided they wanted the old Road Atlanta back, and that is what they got, thanks to iRacing doing a great job of saving tracks as they were, and even tracks that are no longer around anymore, keeping them alive in the sim racing world. So we thank them, we applaud them very much so, I know I do personally because of a track around close to my house that unfortunately went down thanks to good old housing estates once again ruining everything and tearing down my track in 2014. But iRacing saved it. Good old Oran Park is on the iRacing service, so thankfully that one is saved. And I'm sure there are many more. I know there's a few ovals as well that have been saved thanks to iRacing getting the scans done and completed before track has gone under or has been retired. So we get back ready to race once again as MacArthur almost gets clipped by the pace car there. As the pace car makes his hard left turn as MacArthur and Ogle, Hufford, Robinson, Jones and Watts are going to be your top 6. The starting 3 rows. MacArthur gets that nice jump on the inside line as Ogle follows him through. Hufford not too far behind. It looks like Robinson's going to have some company back there in the 4th position. With Eddie Jones has made that position, excuse me, as Michael Watts. Eddie Jones is absolutely flying. Dwayne MacArthur's got Ogle as well on the inside line all of a sudden. Ogle's so much better than MacArthur in turns 3 and 4, but MacArthur knows how to hold his own in turns 1 and 2, so this battle is going to continue. As you can see, MacArthur using the high line to his full advantage. He's going to stay side by side for the lead. Ogle trying desperately. There's only 400s between them. MacArthur takes that high side run onto the into turn 3 out of turn 4. And it looks like Ogle actually gains some time in the middle of the corner. They're going to still stay side by side. Who's going to get it to the line? It's going to be Ogle just by the barest of margins. Going to take the lead away as we come to the line. For the start of the 48th lap, Tom Ogle is going to take that position away, I believe, coming out of turn 2. And yes, he does. MacArthur falling back just a little tad bit on the high side. And Ogle is going to take the lead away. So Ogle back up front. MacArthur not wanting to let him go too far. Keeping him within 1/10 of a second. So MacArthur's going to try something here. Got to run on Ogle with the draft. And is going to look low, but Ogle seems so strong in the middle of the corner. But no, Dwayne MacArthur's coming back. He's going to try and keep Ogle on that high lane. As we heard from our in-race reporter of Dwayne MacArthur earlier on during practice, it is very... well, I wouldn't say very, but it is easier than you would think to defend on that high side. It's very hard to make a pass on the low side and really stick with it, as MacArthur showing an example of exactly what he was telling us in practice, finding it very hard to get in front of Ogle now and make a good challenge for that lead, as he's going to have to tuck in behind Ogle once again and hopefully fire back one more time. So Dustin Martinson saying Jones and Ogle, the best rivalry in motorsports. And I tell you what, I could not agree with you more. As they continue to fight it out, Eddie Jones has absolutely come out of nowhere. Man on a mission, a space mission with the rocket ship that he's got underneath. We're going to have to do tech inspection on that one. As Eddie Jones has made his way absolutely flying through the field, up 15 spots. I believe, no, not your biggest mover, your second biggest mover behind Eric Essery, who's in the 17th position and up 18 spots. But Eddie Jones has absolutely been working his way through this front pack and is right there on the back bumper of Dwayne MacArthur as he continues to ride on the back bumper of Tom Ogle. This race just continues, and we've got a yellow to spoil the party. Courtney Nelson! No! One of my favorite drivers from up here in the booth. I feel kind of bad for the other drivers now that I've said that, but absolutely. And I certainly owe him one after my first show with him. As Courtney Nelson showing an incident. Oh no. The 65 came down and Courtney was there. So that was Kermit Gentry. So Gentry, I believe it's Gentry, not Gentry. Gentry actually came down there and yeah, just I don't think he thought that Courtney was gonna be right there. I mean, there was a little bit of room and then trying to make that move on Victor Lane and oh, and around, and they clipped. Who did they clip? They clipped someone else as well. Oh, I missed that. Let's go back one more time. Let's see who that was. Oh, and they clipped someone else. What is happening? Every time I look, there's another driver involved. So, Gentry and Nelson came together. Just unfortunate racing, really. The 09. Where's our 09 machine? No, I thought it was Wadlow, because Wadlow's the 89. Oh, it's McRubbin. It's Brian McRubbin. He was involved. Go back to Gentry, because we saw... Oh! Oh! Oh, that was an absolute... Oh! I don't know who that was. That was a huge hit right there. I've got to take it back as quick as I can. Try and find out who that was, because that was a brutal impact with Gentry there. Oh, excuse me. Ah, well, we've lost it. Ah, well. I tell you what, though. That looked absolutely brutal. We've got Dean Gear in the pits, Henry Besaw, Patrick Martinsdale, Troy Baker, John Hastings, Kermit Gentry, Michael Amanchek, James Waldo, Bob. Yeah, well, no, Waldo's still out on track. So, Lemanchek is a lap down, but he's out on track as well. Gentry currently shown as in the pits. Mike Lynch is in the pits. Victor Lane in the pits. But mostly everyone's seeming to be out on track at the moment. So those guys in pit lane really know how to beat the panels. As that may have actually been, no, it wasn't John Hastings, as he's definitely got the Tide machine. I almost forgot. Is there. Oh, it was Fellenbaum. Yep. 100%. You can see the caved in nose of that machine there. See if I get a better angle. Have one. Thank you, cameraman. You're not doing a great job for me. Oh well. We're going to have to hire some more staff up here in the booth. It's getting ridiculous. Some more staff or some different staff? I don't know. We've got to see. We'll keep Barney. Because Barney's my man. So, interestingly enough, we're showing Dan Hill as next to Tom Ogle. I'm not sure how that one happened. I think Dan Hill decided to stay out and not take any kind of tyres. In fact, did so. So Hill last time on pit road was lap 43. Everyone else came in that time by lap 54. So we'll see if these 12 lap or 11 lap older tyres are going to help or hinder Mr. Hill, as Hill and Ogle are going to be side by side on row 1. Row 2, Eddie Jones, Dwayne MacArthur. Row 3 is going to be Wayne Hufford and Josh Robinson. I don't know why I decided to do that, but there it is. Mayo and Martinson continue to absolutely amuse themselves and myself in the YouTube side of the chat group while we watch these cars go around. So fantastic to see them having some fun and hopefully enjoying the broadcast, as well as Hill and Ogle are going to take us back to green. Hill's going very, very high, very nearly clips the wall. Might have done. I'm not quite sure if he did or not. It was very, very close indeed, as Hill and Ogle are going to go side by side. Eddie Jones right behind Hill right now. Not going to be happy to see those older tyres. As you can see, Courtney Nelson on the low side coming out of pit road, not wanting to get involved in anything as he makes his way back up onto the track. As Ogle and MacArthur have taken that spot away, we're going to have to see how Hill fares with all of this traffic right behind. This is absolutely going to be crazy to see from the gearbox, so we will definitely do that from the back end of Dan Hill, and you can just see how absolutely crazy the field is right behind Hill at the moment, as Hill continues to do a great job, really, of staying on that high side and out of everyone's way, but continuing to be quite fast at the moment. As you can see, Robinson now making the move on Hill, so Hill is going to probably lose that spot to Robinson there, as Robinson goes side by side. So Robinson's going to take the 5th place spot, and Dan Hill wants to go and meet the Robinsons. So, oh, I shouldn't have laughed at that, but there we go. So me making my own small jokes that I laugh at. It's a bit sad, isn't it, up here in the booth. But Robinson and Hill, actually Hill's doing a great job of holding back Robinson for the moment. Very, very surprised as MacArthur and Ogle go side by side for the lead. We just saw them switch places. MacArthur really trying hard to stay on the inside of Tom Ogle. Ogle is not giving it up. We're halfway through this race. So Ogle is definitely going to keep that spot just for the moment, as MacArthur tries to find every which way around. And Jones sets the fastest lap of the race so far at 31.42. That's only 3/10 slower than our pole sitter's lap time. So that is absolutely incredible, which I believe was Josh Robinson, our pole sitter. Can't believe I've already forgot the pole sitter, but that's, yep. Pretty sure it was Josh Robinson. But regardless, Robinson was on the front row, I know that much. So Eddie Jones continuing to be behind this group as they continue to battle too wide. MacArthur is trying so hard to find something different to Ogle. Bass Pro Shop's machine is trying very, very hard to go underneath Tom Ogle, but Ogle is not having any of it. And look at Eddie Jones just waiting in the wings. He knows he's gonna get that chance to pounce, and he wants to use it to its full efficiency when it shows up. Just allowing these two to do all the work, and there he goes, quite close to MacArthur's rear end just then. These two Toyotas, the Toyota brand, seeming very quick tonight. Same with the Fords. I'm seeing a lot of Fords, a lot of Toyotas up here. Wayne Hufford in the first Chevrolet, down in 4th. But we've got Ford, Toyota, Toyota, Chevy, Ford, and Toyota. Chevy, Ford, Toyota, rounding out our top 10. Dan Hill doing a great job in his Chevrolet in the 8th position at the moment. So still in the top 10, proving, I believe, unless he's doing something that I don't know what he's doing, but I believe he's proving that tires aren't as massive a factor as we may have thought. So there's only 10 laps difference. It's not a huge difference, but certainly enough in some tracks out there. Road Atlanta not obviously being one of those, as Ogle continues to lead, but this battle just will not quit as MacArthur is desperate to find somewhere. That was Hill going down. but keeping it all together as he's just trying to collect the rear end of that one, getting a little bit loose, so he is okay, still sitting in the 8th position. Ogle and MacArthur still fighting it out. Jones has fallen back a little bit, maybe used up too much stuff earlier on. Wayne Hufford coming in behind Eddie Jones now, also getting his nose put in the mix. As Ogle and MacArthur just continue to go, they cannot get enough of the rear end of each other. And Jones going a little bit lower than we've seen in the past. Ogle sticking slightly higher, so that is an interesting development. I believe Ogle going for that defensive line, trying to defend anything on the high side, so that's why being a little bit higher in the corner. You can see MacArthur right on the bumper and closing fast as he times that move almost perfectly as he's going to make that run out of turn 2. Eddie Jones is going to try and come with him, see if the both of them can use that to their advantage. MacArthur goes underneath Ogle, actually takes the spot away, but maybe for only the briefest of moments as Ogle still has the run from the high side. Ogle's going to lose it a little bit here to MacArthur though, as MacArthur takes that lap back the lead, as MacArthur and Ogle still continue to be side by side. Eddie Jones still waiting just right behind MacArthur on that low side. Confirmation that Josh Robinson had pole. Thank you, I'm not going crazy. Dustin Martinson coming in with the save, as Tom Ogle has defended that side beautifully. I really thought Dwayne was going to make that move. Unfortunately, not able to do so. And Ogle is going to keep the position. So we're halfway through this race. MacArthur tries another run at it. These two just will not quit having this battle. And Eddie Jones is just sitting there wondering what's going to happen. I can imagine in the back of his mind, Eddie Jones is thinking, okay, I could insert myself into the battle here, but it's far more entertaining just to sit here and watch and see what happens rather than causing any kind of incident or craziness being involved. So he's just sitting back there watching as Ogle and MacArthur continue this side-by-side battle. And this is intense stuff. The 83 machine and the 11. Side by side. I don't know how many laps we've been side by side for. It's got to be 10 at this point. Ogle has just barely edged out MacArthur, and Eddie Jones is falling in behind MacArthur as well. But Hufford's caught up. Robinson has caught up. We've got the top 5 all caught very, very close indeed. They're all right behind each other, under a blanket as some would say. Michael Watts not too far behind in 6th position at the moment. So Wayne Hufford going very, very wide there, trying something around Eddie Jones. That 75 machine looking very, very speedy indeed right now. Tyre falling off maybe have helped Eddie Jones at this point, as Jones used up a lot of them to get to that battling duo of MacArthur and Ogle. And Michael Watts and Greg McDaniel also throwing their hat in the ring. Top 7 there, you can see making a run is Josh Robinson underneath Wayne Hufford. And I believe is going to take that spot as Hufford goes very, very wide up the track indeed. And MacArthur looks like he has a run on Ogle once again. Going to have to do the inside lane. Ogle is not going to let you take the high side, MacArthur. And once again, there it is, a Jones. Jones is looking to make the move. Jones, come on, buddy. Not quite close enough. I really thought he was going to be able to make that move there. Unfortunately not, as MacArthur and Ogle continue to follow in a line. And I'm scared to look away from this battle as it just continues to unfold in all sorts of ways. But we're going to take a quick break further to the back of the pack as we've got Kevin Strandberg fighting on the high side of Ken Schultz. That's going to be for your 11th place spot. You can see Dan Hill has still done an amazing job, still sitting in the 8th position, and Walker got very, very loose and very nearly collected Hill on the high side. And this is just absolutely amazing. Eric Essery, your biggest mover, up 23 spots, currently sitting in the, or was in the 12th place, is now in the 13th place as he has battled against Strandberg, and Strandberg has taken that position back away, but is going to be on the inside line for the moment. And Essery has done a fantastic job, 22 spots, as I said, absolutely amazing up into the 13th spot. And we've got a battle for second now, I believe. No, for third, excuse me, as Robinson and Eddie Jones go side by side. So Robinson has found some speed on the long run and on the low side, which is very enticing because Ogle and MacArthur have been struggling with that low side up to this point. Arthur goes for the big block on Josh Robinson. Robinson with a whole lot of speed though. Takes the spot away from Eddie Jones. And is up now into the third spot. And continuing to work his way around. Robinson, one of those drivers that it doesn't matter the tyre where Robinson will find his way up to the front some way, somehow. And is fighting now for the second place position with Dwayne MacArthur. And able to work that low side, like I said, that's absolutely incredible. Look how much ground he made on MacArthur there. Robinson, knowing something about tyres that no one else does, and able to find grip all over the place, no matter how old the tyres are. Robinson and Ogle are going to be having this side-by-side battle for the lead now as MacArthur falls a little bit further back to the clutches of Eddie Jones as well. And Robinson, just that low side, not having the run off of the corner that he needs to really make that move stick. In the corners, you can see, makes up quite a way of time. Whoa, these drivers getting very, very close. There's the 6 of them in a line, not too far behind one another. As you can see, Ogle continues to lead this pack. MacArthur trying the low side on Robinson. Robinson's not going to be happy about that. It's going to take his preferred line away from him. So we've heard of battles that won't quit. We've heard of Titans in the shape of Joey Logano versus Kyle Busch. And we've got our own Titans in this. Or at least for me it definitely was when I was watching NASCAR back in the day. But we've got this epic battle between really... I mean, I wanted to say Ogle and MacArthur, but then you've got Robinson's thrown his head in the mix here. Jones has shown unbelievable speed at points throughout the racetrack. Wayne Hufford has shown speed. Watts has shown speed. McDaniel, I'll go through the entire list of drivers and say that everyone's shown speed because they really have. And it's been incredible watching them go around this track. As a little bit further back down in 21st position, you've got McRubbin who's side by side. Well, this whole pack back here is in side by side. The racing just keeps going, and there we pan back at the perfect moment. Someone is in the wall. He's a little bit further up front. I believe that was Clint Rice. No, he's on the low side. Garisco's on the inside. It was Warsdale. So Warsdale still struggling after that incident earlier on. And checking up McRubbin there as well in the Duff machine. Duffman. So McRubbin is the Duffman, and he's made his way around. So that issue there with Warsdale really proving a huge one as he's fallen all the way back. Now into the 26th position. We have battles all over the place as we expected. Brian Lynch and Clint Rice just in front. Lynch making a great show of it now that he's come back into the series. And really working that high groove to its fullest. Buscemi and Hill now, or Buscemi and Strandberg. Hill's just in front. Oh, Essery and Moore getting very, very close together. Essery continuing to absolutely astound me as he is now up 23 spots in the 12th place spot. And he's watching this battle unfold just in front of him as he almost gets stopped. Buscemi does a real late lunge on Strandberg there, trying the undercut, not able to make it happen. But that fire-breathing Dragon Chevrolet machine that he's got is looking very, very hot in the rear end of Strandberg's car. But Strandberg is also putting a lot of move. That was Dan Hill. So Hill has not fallen off quite as badly as we expected. I don't know if he's got something else on that right foot of his, but I tell you, he's done a great job so far of keeping that car pointed the right direction and keeping it staying in the top 10. I mean, and even fighting back here, it looks like, against McDaniel and Walker just in front for the 7th position. So Dan Hill wanted some time in the sun, and we're going to give it to him, as he has definitely earned it. By Walker and McDaniel still side by side here, just in front. Strandberg now going to make that move on Dan Hill, putting Hill back into 10th. And we've got a very close battle once again. Ogle and MacArthur. These two just will not get away from each other. It does not matter where you go to on the track. Does not matter when you come back to it. These two always find each other. And it is astounding. Dustin Martinson wanting to be the stats man up in here in the booth with me, as he has brought up a good point, saying Essery was the hard charger at Las Vegas as well. 28 spots he thinks it was, and he finished on the podium. So, I mean, if anyone knows how to go through the field, that just gives you an example of Eric Essery knows exactly how to make his way through traffic. And he's showing the same exact determination once again up in the 13th place spot at the moment. Getting less than 50 laps to go here tonight. It has been a crazy good race and a lot of action as Ogle and MacArthur continue to have this battle. Robinson has caught up actually a brief amount since we've been watching, and all three of them have put a little bit of a gap on Jones, Buffett and Watts, who are falling back a little bit here. So we cycle it on back to the 10th place spot. Once again, Dan Hill and Lloyd Moore are going to be going side by side with Greg McDaniel. You can see just up ahead there as well on that high side. Ooh, Hill having a little bit of a loose moment, still struggling with those tires. As fuel will be the defining factor, as we said, not the tires themselves, but it is still incredibly loose. Unlike last week where the tyres were the defining factor, we have Michael Watts coming into pit. He's going to be the very first car down pit road. Now we have 60 laps of fuel, give or take, under green flag. So this, coming in now, should be able to make it no problems towards the end of the race. So this will be an incredible move with a bit of an undercut moment for Michael Watts as he comes down into pit lane. We've got some more drivers joining him. Kenneth Schultz has come down as well. And we're going to wait and see, when does Ogle, MacArthur, Robinson, Jones, Hufford, when do these 5 drivers decide to come back in? It's going to be an interesting turn of events as we've seen a car go very low. I believe someone's coming into pit lane right now. Well, they're getting a little bit of touch on the grass. I believe that was our newfound man of, I believe, Patrick Martindale that was, coming down pit road there. No, that was actually Mike Lemonchek. Oh, no, wait. Yep, Dan Hill coming down. Greg McDaniel, sorry. Brian Lindsay coming down as well. So Dan Hill comes down after being out since lap 40. It's lap 45, so he's been out for quite a while and showing that tyres aren't as important as the fuel that you need to push them forward, as MacArthur has just come down pit road. So that's going to shake things up. Buscemi, Moore, Walker, all come down pit road. So when does Ogle and Robinson, when do they make their way down? They continue to stay out for the moment. The longer they stay out. Oh, Robinson stays out. Ogle decides to come down pit road. Pit road later than I was ready for. Eddie Jones also follows through. Hufford, Strandberg. They're all coming down. Essery now up 33 spots thanks to that amazing maneuver from all the drivers coming down pit road. So he's up 33 spots in the second position. That is unparalleled numbers, of course. The pit cycles will cycle that one through. As you can see, MacArthur there coming out. So MacArthur was hoping Ogle would stay out for a little bit longer to make that undercut work as much as possible. But it definitely will be interesting to see if Ogle can retain that spot in front of MacArthur. Essery's had to stay up high. Robinson continues to make his way around the track as we are underway, definitely in the throes of green flag pit stops at the moment. Robinson with a 7-second lead or thereabouts on Eric Essery. Is he going to choose to come down this time? I think would be the smarter move. We are just about to hit lap 100. And yes, Robinson is definitely coming down pit road. So Robinson makes his way in. Essery looks like he's coming in. Al Turner is going to stay out for the moment. Get a lap led. Chris Bates is also staying out for the moment. Victor Lane, another. Where is Dwayne MacArthur? Dwayne MacArthur is there. So Tom Ogle, all you can see as we pan back to him right there. So MacArthur has made quite a large gap on Ogle for the moment, which would all come crashing down if there is a caution and put them back right next to each other. But if there's no caution, this is looking very, very good in the wheelhouse of Dwayne MacArthur for the moment. So MacArthur should take over the race lead once everything has cycled through. I almost forgot about Watts. So Watts came in quite a bit earlier than all these other drivers. I think about 2 laps or 4 laps before Dwayne MacArthur did. So you're very right. I gotta hand it to Jeremy Mayo, looking at the timing sheet much better than I am, which is very sad for me to say out loud, as Michael Watts has definitely come down 4 laps ahead of Dwayne MacArthur, so he's actually going to take over and inherit the race lead. Michael Watts is going to be out front, but he's still got Chris Bates and Victor Lane. Still 2 drivers that have not come down pit road as of yet. See Victor there. Is he going to come down this time? No, he's going to stay out. So I believe these two drivers are going to stay out as long as possible and hope that there is a yellow flag that comes out as he gets split 3 wide. Thankfully, nothing doing, but the race leader split 3 wide there as the new tires versus the old. And he might be forced to go one more time around. Well, thought about coming down, I reckon, but didn't come down. So Bates is going to continue to lead this one. When do Bates and Lane come down to pit road? It is a very intriguing question. Surely it has to be sometime soon. Like we heard, it was around about a 60 lap fuel run. They last pitted both of them on lap 54 to 55. That's about 50 laps from now. That's about 50 laps to now, I should say. So they've got another 10 laps of fuel left, give or take, but they will have to come down. And all this time, the drivers they were racing around are just going to put more and more of a gap towards these drivers when they eventually do come out of pit road. Because the difference in times at the moment is absolutely huge. Last time by for these two drivers, Chris Bates and Victor Lane, both of them hitting 33 second lap times. 33.5, give or take. 33.2 for Bates. 33.5 for Victor Lane. And both of them, with the cars, all the cars on fresh tires are getting 32 second flats or lower. So a good, close to a 2-second difference around this track, excuse me. So Bates and Lane are really losing a lot of time. They've both got to be praying for a caution at this point. What's happened to MacArthur? Oh, he just dropped down my timing screen because he was out of render range. Oh, had me on panic attack for a second there. Oh, what's happened to Watts now? So Watts is showing quite a bit behind MacArthur at the moment. Interesting. So MacArthur is... There you go, there's MacArthur just there. There's Watts just behind, about a second. So that pass took place. I'm trying to find it. Show it to you. There's Michael Watts. No, because he's got Ogle behind him, so that's not what we're hoping it was going to be. It's an interesting one. I can't seem to find that. I'm not sure why, but anyway. Maybe it was unrendered. That's probably why, because of course it was. But we have Tom Ogle right behind Michael Watts at the moment. So, will Tom Ogle be able to catch Watts? And the answer is looking at the moment like a yes, as he has caught up quite an amount at the moment. Only half a second back and continues to close that gap. Goon's right behind Ogle as well. Lane comes down pit road. So Lane led one lap, then decided to come down. So Dwayne MacArthur is going to take over the race lead right now. See, Bates was on pit road and is just coming out just underneath Dwayne MacArthur there. See the gap from first to second and then to third. So that was Dwayne MacArthur, Michael Watts, and Tom Ogle now. As Ogle may have been undercut from MacArthur here. If we stay green, this could be very interesting. Speaking of interesting, Bates coming out of pit road. He's going to have a lot of pace on that machine. So he's going to be able to fight tooth and nail with Ogle and Watts. Watts falling behind Eddie Jones now as well. So Watts may not be feeling all that comfortable at the moment, it looks like. Not quite the pace that we're used to seeing out of fresh tyres. A couple of tenths lower per lap than MacArthur running up front and Ogle running in second. So not quite sure if Watts is just feeling it out, just not incredibly comfortable, or if there was perhaps a small mistake on pit road. But either way, either how, Michael Watts finds himself falling down into the 4th position at the moment. And Robinson is about to make it 5th as he is coming very, very closely. Very, very quickly to the back of Michael Watts. And is going to take that spot away as well. We have a battle heating up for the 2nd spot as Jones and Ogle are getting very, very close together. Mayo saying that those 4 extra laps were showing their age. And, you know, I would normally agree with you, but at the same time, we had Dan Hill, who was starting our last caution with 11 laps older tyres, and somehow still able to keep pretty much on pace with a lot of the guys running in the front running positions. So, not quite sure what's going on there. So Ogle and Jones, we're still focused on this battle because it is definitely the one to watch at the moment. See the gap there, MacArthur is out 2 seconds ahead of Ogle. So MacArthur with absolute track in front of him. Just has to keep his car underneath him and he should be looking very strong to take home the win. That undercut absolutely playing dividends coming into this one. Jones still on the back of Ogle and Robinson, you can see they made up a huge chunk of time on the back of Jones. So Ogle, Jones, Robinson, this battle just absolutely continuing. Jones underneath Ogle, Robinson is showing where he wants to be on that high side, actually passes Jones there. Ooh, nice little maneuver as he cuts down right in front of Jones and tries to get that run on Ogle. Getting it done. Ogle's going to stick it up high. Try and keep that position. As MacArthur and Ogle and Robinson, MacArthur, excuse me, is out in front. Ogle, Robinson and Jones continuing to have this battle. I believe that was a little bit of a internet connection issue on my part just then, so apologies for that, as we still have a little bit going on. But Robinson, Ogle and Jones really fighting hard here. As Robinson has taken that spot away, Ogle is now under fire from Jones, who's looking like he wants that third place spot, and who could blame him? As Ogle really caught the back of Robinson all of a sudden. Trying to use that high side line to his advantage. Might not help with Eddie Jones on the inside, able to keep it though for the moment. Jones tucking in behind to get the draft, see if he can get anything done. Not quite close enough though, as this is definitely the closest battle on track at the moment. These three cars very close together. Pearson and Garisco fighting it out for the 15th spot, I believe, or 16th spot. They're very close together out on track. As we can see the battle here for the 16th position. Pearson in the 22, very nice green livery there. We have grown fond of, I'm not going to lie. As Garisco, sponsored by Crisco Machine. It's going to be on the high side in the 16th spot. Shammy is making his way underneath Joe Brown and has made that spot. Brown got the run on the high side, clips the wall just a little bit. This is for the 12th place spot. Just in front. That is a lap down car, I believe, because Al Turner is actually in the 11th place spot at the moment. There's the gap to 12th. That's a lap down machine just in front of them. As Watts has company from Hufford now. So Hufford also fell back quite a long ways. And Hufford really trying to climb back up into the top few spots as well, into the top 5. And sees Watts in his sights. Getting to the pointy end of this race. And it'll be interesting to see if we have any other big moves going on. It looks like Robinson, Ogle and Jones, that battle has deteriorated somewhat. As Watts is right in front. Jones not too far ahead either. See Ogle's white pink scheme just in front of Jones. Jones trying everything. Hufford is closing that gap though to Michael Watts. We should pan back to that one. I believe that's going to get close pretty soon. As Hufford is closing. It's closing. 75 machine on the 84. That Chevy power. Hufford, the highest Chevy at the moment, down in 6th position. Trying to get a top 5 for the good old Cross brand. I know it's only a personal thing, but by the way, Myro looks way better than the Ford Mustang. Whether you agree with me or not, I know that's a hot topic, but I love that pointy nose and those sharp lines. I personally think that the Ford Mustang is just a bit too curvaceous for me. But I understand that that's a up in arms discussion. So, see what people think when I come back next week. But at the moment, yeah, we've still got Hufford chasing down Watts. Still trying to close that gap. Actually hasn't closed it as much as I thought. Walker has really closed the gap big time. Walker, seemingly out of nowhere, has entered himself into the top 5 competition, as he's sitting in 7th just behind Hufford now. And the Camrys once again proving what I said earlier, is that this does seem to be a Camry strong track. Walker's going to try and make that move right on the back bumper of Hufford. Using a lot more of the track though, so that'll be interesting when he actually tries to make that move. Less than 10 to go. Get ready for the end of this one. All three of them so close together. You can see Watts, Hufford and Walker so close. Hufford tries to go underneath Watts. May have tried to apex a little bit too early. Walker can really take advantage. You can see closing that gap. Just reeling him in. Get that fishing pole and just start reeling it. As Walker really closes into the back bumper of Wayne Hufford. Oh, a little bit loose goes Walker. That is going to severely hurt his momentum, and you can see the gap that's just formed just as we were changing the camera to get a better view of that battle. And Walker falls all of a sudden from 2/10 to 7/10 behind Hufford now. So Hufford with no pressure on the back bumper at the moment. Going to be looking to make that pass on Watts just in front for that top 5 spot. So Watts doing a great job of holding his own though with 6 laps to go. After seemingly having a bit of a struggle earlier on. Actually, you are very right. I should definitely have a look at that battle as well with 5 to go. MacArthur is getting reeled in. Not close enough to make a move at this point. But Robinson, once again, showing that he has a long run pace machine. And not quite close enough to make a move, but very close nonetheless. As Hufford is now trying to make the move on Watts for the 5th place spot. And we'll try and keep an eye on both of these. As Watts gets pinned behind a lap car 3. Whoa, that was very close indeed. With Watts on the underside, but Watts comes through now. Walker also trying to find his way into that one. MacArthur and Robinson now down to only 2/10. They were at 3 last lap. This is getting very, very interesting in these both battles. Both very high-paying positions. Obviously none better than the top spot, but still. As Watts and Walker right behind each other. Walker trying to make that dive into 3 wide. So Hufford's made his way into 5th. Watts and Walker trying to find out who's going to be in 6th and 7th. Walker desperate to make that 1 extra spot. MacArthur is keeping Robinson back to a 2/10 gap. So that has not closed up as of yet. See if Robinson can try and make any difference on that though. As Walker goes a lot lower than Watts and tries to make that move for the 6th place. not quite able to do it. There's still a tenth separating them. As MacArthur now increases that lead. Had a little bit in reserve for Robinson. So 3/10 is the gap now. Walker still trying desperately to see if he can get that one extra spot in front of Watts. As they are side by side heading into turns 3 and 4. We are coming to the white flag. As it does look like Walker's going to take that spot away, but we're going to go up front with MacArthur. He's heading onto the backstretch now. Robinson is still 2/10 behind, trying desperately to get as much run as he can out of that high side. Closes the gap real close, but I don't think it's going to be good enough. MacArthur is going to take that spot away and come home with the win here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Robinson and Ogle, your top 3. And just to cycle it on back and have a look, Clay Walker manages to get in front of and stay in front of Michael Watts for the 6th place spot. So, fantastic racing all over the track as expected, and as we've come to absolutely adore from the Old Bastards Racing League here at the Kimball Cup Series. That was an incredible race to say the least. Have the top 3 coming to a stop. You can see there absolutely amazing racing from all 3 of those drivers as well as everyone else in the field. MacArthur, Robinson, Ogle are going to be your top 3. Eddie Jones, Wayne Hufford in 4th and 5th. Walker, Watts, Essery, Moore, and Al Turner are going to be your top 10 finishing positions. We're going to cycle that one on back a little bit so you can having a look at where your favorite drivers have finished up in this race tonight. Hill, Lynch, Bates, Buscemi, Brown, your top 15. Pearson, Green, Garisco, McRubbin, and Lindsay, your top 20. Wanamaker, Nesta, Lane, Christ, and McDaniel, top 25. Schrader, Nitz, Chaussee, Schultz, and Dow are going to be your top 30. Lynch, Lemonchek, Wollenbaum, Hastings, Waldo. Where's Waldo? There he is. I know I made that joke already at the start, but I'm doing it again. 35. Your top 35. Wasdell, Gentry Jr., Strandberg, 36, 37, 38. Nelson and Baker, 39th and 40th. Martinsdale, Besaw, and Dean Gurr. Dean Gurr. It's 2 E's. And he is going to be the 3rd and final spot of the night. So once again, amazing job from these drivers. We're going to bring them into the booth as quickly as we can. We've got Tom Ogle waiting in the broadcast booth, but we're waiting on Robinson and MacArthur still. So we'll get ready for them to come in and say a good old g'day to me. So we get ready to get them up in here to the booth. Hopefully they come in a fairly short order. Got MacArthur, who's just joined us. And Robinson has joined us in the waiting room as well. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to bring Mr. Tom Ogle into the booth with me. G'day, Tom. How are you feeling and how are you doing?
My shoulders are killing me. That was a that was a rough one. That was a lot of work. It was just constant tension on my shoulders, because it was so loose of a car to drive.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, that race absolutely looked amazing. I just got to say, that looked like one of the closest races I've ever seen. And what hurt you there more than anything else was the fact that Dwayne came back down pit road only a lap ahead of you, but that seemed to make all the difference.
It does in this car. Like, it really does. And you know what? I wanted to pit that lap, but I couldn't get to the right radio channel to announce it, and I didn't want to like end up causing a big accident pitting at the last minute. And I just thought, you know what? What's one lap? It doesn't hurt. Well, obviously it does. I lost 2 seconds of probably in that lap, and that's the distance the whole rest of the race. And I had to kind of run a little bit harder to catch him too. So that kind of let Josh get around me too.
Yeah, well, we were looking at when you actually came out, I think it was 2.4. So that was a huge gap and one that was very difficult to make up, as we know. But
Right. Yep.
yeah, I
And
will.
then go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. It's all good. You talk. It's about you, not about me.
I was watching the gap, and I kept expecting it to go down, but it never. I wasn't cutting it enough, so I knew when I got there, I would I would have had to run so hard I would burn up my tires. So I was hoping that he would burn up his tires, and then you get into lap traffic and it messes. You get dirty air and stuff, so you're kind of fighting two things. I was kind of dumb uh, pitting a lap later. And I probably didn't get onto pit road as good as Dwayne and Josh are way better. Josh had those new 4 or 5 lap newer tires really helped him. That was the key. I thought he was going to get Dwayne.
Yeah, it got very close between the two of them.
Yes,
But
he did.
I've got to ask you, you and Josh. So we actually had who was it? I think it was Dustin Martinson in the YouTube side of the broadcast, and he was basically telling me that the best battle in motorsport is Tom Ogle and Dwayne MacArthur. Do you want to enlighten on that one?
That's that's probably it's probably a lot of professional race car drivers and fans that would disagree. I mean, we race hard. Listen, me, Josh, Eddie, Greg McDaniels, we raced really hard, but clean. But I mean, we run the crap out of each other. I was kind of complaining because they don't run. I feel like they don't run Josh as hard as me, and he goes, "Are you crazy?" I finally passed Eddie on the outside, but I was antagonizing Dwayne on that top. That was kind of a lot of fun. But he would get up next to me. I was hoping he'd burn up his stuff and I could drive away, but I could just never drive away. It was killing me.
It didn't seem to eat up the tires as much as we were expecting it to here at Atlanta.
No, I had really good tire wear. Like, I was high 60s both sides on that one last long run, right where we did the green flag pit stop. Now I was lower than that after that run to the end of the game, but yeah, it was pretty good.
All right, well, Tom, it's always an absolute pleasure talking to you. You bring the enthusiasm, and we love to see it. So, who would you like to give a shout out to for coming in third place here tonight? And yeah, great run.
My teammates, we were all trying to figure out what to do. Like before we got the cautions, everybody was like, Josh was gonna one stop, I was gonna two stop, but it's always good. Uh, Kevin Strandberg, he had some rough luck. Dan, uh, Joe Brown, Josh, Brian Lynch, we all kind of bounce stuff off of each other, and it really does help. And Kim Bowl for sponsoring the league, and you guys for doing a great broadcast. Uh, I'm just glad to hear you didn't drop any chicken coops on your foot and put you out.
It definitely could happen. I do live on a farm myself, so
Where
don't say never.
where are you from?
I'm from Australia, but
That's what I thought.
yeah. So
You live here, or are you still in Australia?
no. I'm still in Aussie land.
Okay,
So
okay, good for
that's
you.
that's always the big problem with broadcasting. I'm worried that it's not quite gonna hold up, but I'm
Pretty
hoping it
amazing.
does.
I
So.
mean, you do a great job, and you I've never noticed. I wouldn't know.
All right. Well,
Hey,
that is
thank
good
you
to
though.
hear. So no worries. And
Yep.
you
And most important, as always, I finished in front of Eddie, and that's really all that matters.
know. Well, we love the sportsmanship. We love the rivalry. So
Yep.
great talking to you, Tom, and we'll
Yep.
catch you
Thank
up
you.
here in the booth next time, I'm sure.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too, man. That was Tom Ogle bringing it home. We're going to bring in Josh Robinson now, as he has found himself in the second position. Josh, have you got a copy? Josh, are you here? Wonder if he's having the same issue he's had a couple of weeks in a row now. Josh Robinson has been brought up into the booth and he's had to switch to his phone because his mic for some reason decides not to work when he wants it to. Just covering for broadcast side of things. Back one more time. Josh, you got me this time. Come on, Josh. Don't be shy now.
You got a copy?
I do have a copy. What is going on with your whole setup, my man?
I think I might have to reinstall Discord here. Yeah, it seems to be a weekly issue. Got a new router that seems to not have changed a thing.
Interesting. Well, that's unfortunate because that seems like it's probably a bit of money. It hasn't changed much.
And it's well with the service, all good.
All right. Well, I tell you what, Josh, it's nice to talk to you. So close to catching Dwayne right at the end there. Well, every single race I've witnessed, you have the best long run car of the entire field. You have a secret to that?
Just kind of got to save the tires a little bit early. We were all running really hard at the start of that last run there, so I can't say that I was really saving tire because I think I was turning my fastest laps in the race. But in general, just try to run a little bit less hard than the folks in front of you, and then try to capitalize on that as the laps progress.
Right. Well, I tell you, we saw you use the inside lane more than anyone else, I think, tonight. So was that purely because you found everyone blocking you on the high side, or did you actually find some speed down there that no one else seemed to?
I definitely found some speed. I think some other guys had some speed down there as well, but kind of similar to Phoenix last week. You know, if everybody's going to run one line, if you want to pass, you're going to have to figure out how to run the other line.
Certainly not wrong in that. That's for sure. And yeah, I guess the only other thing is that, I mean, were tires as big a factor as we thought it was going to be coming into tonight? Because it didn't seem like it was that huge, but then I think I was proven wrong at the end of that green flag run at the end there.
It's they would go away. You probably had about 5 to 10 laps that you could run a decent pace, but then once you got into lap 10 to 20 of your segment, you were probably half a second off your initial pace. So you could drive by someone pretty easy if you had a 10 lap difference in tires or if you were calm on them at the start of the run. But the most important thing was this car was getting super loose off the corner, specifically too. And if you were too hard on that throttle, it would go to the inside. I think on the broadcast, you'll probably see a couple guys heading down there, and then at the end of that last run, Dwayne and I were on the radio, and we were kind of joking with each other the last 5-10 laps that we weren't really racing each other. We were more so racing each other, our own individual race in the track, because it was getting pretty sketchy just individually to try to not bend the car.
Well, I tell you, you managed to finish it at the end with flying colors, and just not able to catch Dwayne. But a huge shout out to you for managing to catch up more than 2 seconds of a gap. So that was pretty amazing to see in about 40 or so laps. So yeah, who would you like to give a shout out to for this second place finish here tonight? And it's been a great pleasure watching you run around the track.
I appreciate it, Gareth. Thanks to you and James for doing the broadcasts. These are great to go back and watch. And I'm sure for those watching live, it's even better because you don't know the outcome yet. And then shout out to the league. This is probably week 5, and we've gotten 40 plus cars every week. That's pretty awesome. Good clean racing. We only had a couple cautions today with a very difficult car to drive. So shout out to the whole league because that's a pretty good accomplishment. Then shout out to my teammates over at Team Miata. Always good to bounce some ideas off of each other. even if Tom's one of those teammates to bounce ideas off of.
Well, I mean, I can imagine Tom's probably a little bit too energetic sometimes to be focused as much as you want him to be, but no, that's all good. Yeah, it's been great calling the action once again, and Josh, I'm sure we'll see you up here next race at Kentucky Speedway.
I appreciate it, Gareth. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good. All right, that was Josh Robinson, second place spot. Up next, it has to be the man, the myth, the legend, the Dwayne, the Rock MacArthur. What is going on, my friend?
Hey Gareth, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. More importantly, how are you doing? Because you're the one who we have to talk about because you've won the race. Is this your first race this season that you've won?
In the Cup Series, actually have to go back and check. It probably is, yeah.
I think it is, judging on my side of things, but I'm not entirely certain. But I believe that's the case. So,
Yeah, I think so.
okay, well, so how was that run for you? I have to talk about right at the very end because that battle with Josh was getting down to the wire.
Yeah, that race was exhausting. Josh definitely showed up at the end as he always does. Really had to just hang it out there to not let him get that gap. If he ever got side by side, I think I was in big trouble. So pretty much just risked it all and drove that car sideways off every corner to try to make sure he couldn't get to me.
Well, we heard in the pre-race sessions, really, we heard in practice that you found it very difficult to pass people, or it was easier, I should say, than normal to defend on the high side line. Did you find that that was a big reason why it so hard to get around Ogle? Because we saw you battling with him side by side for so long, and it seemed like until you decided the undercut was the way to go for the pit stops, couldn't get around him.
Yeah, no, you're right. When you were on the bottom lane and somebody was on that top lane, you really just couldn't get on the throttle. You know, you could get in, you could get rotated, but you just couldn't get on the throttle soon enough um, because you couldn't go up to you knew you couldn't chase it up to the wall. You really were chasing the car the entire way up to the wall on the rear tire, and um, with the car on the outside, he could definitely defend. I thought I could get him in the third lane a few times. I actually think I had him one time, but he got a little bit loose. I had to lift. But I don't think the top lane was the fast way, but definitely in a battle, you wanted to be on the top.
Right, Dwayne, it has been great talking to you. One more question. When you saw Robinson coming up behind you right at the end there, I have to know what was going through your mind.
Uh, Not again. It's a story I've seen quite a few times. Josh Robinson running me down and at the end of a race, or running somebody down at the end of the race. You know that he's doing probably everything just about perfect back there. My tires were hot too. I got a little sideways going by a lap car, gave away a bunch of time, lost my rhythm, heated up my tires. So I was struggling to get my car back underneath me and get my rhythm, and just watching the lead go away and go away. And I look down and look at the laps and I go, oh no, I'm in big trouble. And just focused and decided that I didn't want to lay over, and I was going to drive it right on the edge and see what it had. And thankfully he had run so hard to catch me that I think the tires started to equalize just enough. And I saw him bounce it off the wall there, ones out of two, and I thought, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, it was a great battle, and watching him chase you down, I don't know, I can't really play favorites. I can't say I was rooting for one or the other, but I was rooting for a great battle, and certainly got that as it came down to the wire. Yeah, so great to watch, and I'm sure the fans enjoyed it at home as well as I did from the broadcast booth. Who would you like to give a shout out to for this first place here tonight? And great to talk to you in the winners victory lane, winners circle.
Yeah, I'll start by thanking all the guys on the track here tonight. The car was very hard to drive, very big field. Uh, great turnout, just unbelievable racers. If you look up all the way down this lineup, just incredible iRacers. It's an honor to share the track with them, and great racing from Ogle early in the race. But I want to thank my teammates from Last Ditch Racing. Really, they you bounce ideas off of each other and give advice and keep you calm when you need it. Except for Eddie told me that Josh was going to got me up on the wheel, and so thanks to them. Thanks to all the admins that help run this league. All of our sponsors: Kim Bowl, AO Logs, Butt Kicker, Admin Box, Sim Racer Hub, and Victory Lane Sports, and of course thanks to Team Goon Squad and you and James putting on a good show each and every week out here for us.
All right, fantastic. It has been amazing to see you up here in the booth with me, especially for this first place finish. Have a great night and enjoy yourself, my friend.
Yeah, buddy. Hope we put on a show for you guys. We'll see you next week.
Catch you then. All right, that was Dwayne MacArthur bringing it home in the first place position. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring everyone the action here tonight. So once again, on behalf of Team Goon Squad and the Kimball Cup Series brought to you by Old Bastards Racing League, it has been an absolute pleasure, as I say, and we will see you all next week at the exact same time, the same place. I'm certain I'll be here. See you then. Have a great night.